All right. Good morning and welcome, everyone. This is Mary Ann Hansen. I'm president of the Paper and Packaging Board, and I'm really excited that you're here this morning to hear what's going on with our State of the Campaign. It's hard to believe that for me, this is my 7th State of the Campaign report. And as I plan this update to the paper companies funding the campaign, as well as the larger industry, I was keenly aware of 3 unique challenges this year. First is Zoom fatigue. We do a lot of meetings and attend a lot of webinars and conferences using this technology. So my goal is to be concise and informative and maybe even a bit entertaining. The second challenge is our sustainability platform. We have completely shifted the focus of our campaign to communicate about forest management and health, sustainable product innovation, and reducing waste and recycling. All topics that many of you are well steeped in and have been for many years. So given your deep knowledge, what we have to say needs to be important and help elevate the industry's track record and messaging in this space. We have a high bar to meet. Third, I've not given nearly the number of talks I normally did pre-COVID, so I feel a bit rusty. So thank you for giving any faux pas. And with those opening comments, let's get to it. To level set, I want to remind you about where we are starting from and how the campaign strategy has evolved. In 2021, we moved from 4 message pillars focused on the benefits of paper and paper-based packaging, including productivity, packaging, safety and innovation, learning and education, and resource stewardship. Resource stewardship was 20% of our spending in 2020. This year, we've moved to a 100% sustainability-focused approach, where calls to action are designed to enhance industry reputation and build preference for forest products, including paper and boxes. To do this, we need to tell the consumer, our expressive consumer, the real story around our industry's sustainability practices and the sustainable features and benefits of our products, so that consumers make a better choice when they have their consumer hats on. That in turn helps create a more favorable marketplace for our products. Essentially, this program is more educational in nature and more perception shaping, all to drive smart consumer decision-making. With that, our KPIs will change, and I'll talk about those a little bit more into the presentation. We are still talking to that same custom paper and packaging enthusiast we identified at the start of the campaign. We call them expressives. Just over 1/3 of the 18 to 49-year-old population, or about 50 million consumers, are represented in this distribution by different generational cohorts like millennials, Gen Xers, and Gen Zs. And then we look at the attitudes and psychographics of these consumers. They are high achievers, career focused and creative. They love to be in the know and are trendsetters. They're heavily digital and audio in their usage, just like all of us, but they're also big users of paper and paper-based packaging. In preparing to shift the focus of the campaign, we did a deeper dive on expressives' attitudes about the environment and their desire to do their part through recycling and smart purchases. And so we find this consumer, this expressive environmental portrait, to be a person that finds recycling somewhat confusing, but want to be reassured that what I recycle is in fact making a difference. Understanding the facts and making an informed decision makes me a good consumer who is doing my part. Emotionally, this expressive consumer is feeling like when I do my part, I feel like I am a good environmental steward, helping to preserve the planet for future generations. So a little bit more information about that expressive consumer. Also, from our research last summer, we saw that this group is not knowledgeable about U.S. forests. However, they strongly prefer paper over plastic, a position of strength for the industry as we embark in conversations with them. 55% feel guilty about the volume of products they order and therefore the number of boxes they come in, and 47% find it a hassle to break down boxes. So giving them knowledge has incredible power, as this next slide shows. In our research, we found that after exposure to messaging, positive messaging, there is a strong increase in the belief that paper and paper-based packaging and corrugated boxes are part of the solution. So take a look at the giant leaps that these perceptions moved just from not what is just some basic facts and information about the industry. But we need to tap into their emotions as well. This chart conveys how we plan to package our message. We really have two sets of messages, one that addresses the industry's sustainability behavior or more reputational in focus. And then we have a set of messages that communicate the natural and renewable nature of forest products and the industry's recycling legacy. We need to share that information in a way that when expressive consumers hear our messages, they feel a sense of hope for the future, trust in the industry, and less stress and worry that lead to peace of mind. So in the first 6 months of this year, we took a look at our previous work around resource stewardship and the fact that it received no more than 20% of our resources. And we decided to invest in the work that we had and was already performing well for us. So with this exclusive focus on sustainability, we put more spend behind our top performing pre-existing messages until the new content that we're about to show you today was ready to launch. We've been running our Celebrate Tomorrow by Choosing Paper Today print advertisement in a variety of magazines. We are both on social and digital, where we've promoted and pushed consumers to articles like Meet the Sustainable Darling of the Beverage Industry, paper packaging. Since January, we've run our most popular Faces of the Forest videos, including our North Carolina family, the Grays, a mother-daughter team, and Faces of the Forest, New York, which features an IP plant in Ticonderoga National Park and community. And we've been promoting this a series of short videos from our feature-length Papermakers video. And speaking of Faces of the Forest, we have 7 videos we've completed to date across numerous wood baskets. In 2021, we repurposed these, as I just mentioned, and what we're seeing is more engagement with those videos in the first 6 months of 2021 than all of the last 4 or 5 years. And we're seeing much more much higher completion rates over our previous views. So we know we're reaching people with authentic forest owner stories, and it's paying off. We also used first quarter to learn. We added TikTok to reach our younger expressives. TikTok has increased in popularity because it is both social and entertaining. And from cooking tips to recycling guidance, younger consumers are tuning into TikTok for education, advice, and entertaining experience. Working with these 5 influences, as well as ambassadors Casey and Paige, we saw that educational content centered around recycling facts were the top performing videos. This tells us that audiences are eager to learn about why recycling is important while discovering new ways to incorporate these sustainable practices in their daily lives. We also saw that content worked best when these outside creators took the facts that they were relaying and infused them with their unique personality and authentic content style, giving it more of what we call an edutainment feel rather than just education. The numbers speak for themselves. Our educational or edutainment content was well received, with the top performing pieces of content coming from Nick, Allison, and Chelsea, who you saw in the previous slide, all surpassing average view rate benchmarks. Up until now, we've erred on the conservative side when it comes to selecting influencers, meaning we tend to gravitate to influencers who might be smaller and more affordable, but also tend to have more loyal followings. This is not to say we've ruled out someone with more stature or celebrity, but these smaller to mid-sized influencers tend to deliver a good ROI and followers. So our TikTok results to date, and this is starting in mid-March, are over 9 million impressions delivered through a total of 13 different videos. with 8 million views of that content and over 42,000, close to 43,000 engaging with that content. I'd like to take a moment right now and show you 2 of the many videos we produce featuring our ambassador, Casey, and a message about recycling, as well as Nick the farmer.
As part of the Paper and Packaging How Life Unfolds campaign, I challenged myself to find 3 different ways paper can help my plants. First up, transportation. Paper wraps protect plants from physical damage, keep them warm, and limit the amount of soil spillage in your car. Second is repotting. Once you unwrap them, you can use the paper as a tarp to cut down on your mess. Third is in the garden. You can lay cardboard down to suppress weeds, or cut up paper to create a natural mulch if it isn't too windy. The best part is paper products can be recycled 5 to 7 times, or you can toss it in your compost pile.
So while we were harnessing the power of previous work and exploring venues like TikTok, we were also developing and testing new content behind this simple premise that when you choose paper for nature, you're making a choice that helps us plant more trees, protect wildlife and habitats, and reduce waste through product innovation and widespread recycling. The following video captures the passion behind this new work and why paper is hands down the better choice for nature.
Most people don't know the real story of the paper industry. But research revealed that once our audience was made aware of our sustainability efforts, forest protection and innovation stories connected and resonated with them. We also learned that recycling could offer a shorthand into resource stewardship, bridging the gap between paper-based products and caring for forests. Why? Because people can actively participate in recycling. While our recycling message helps connect consumer action with something as special as the health of our planet, we know this is just the beginning. We are creating more than a campaign. We are planting the seeds of a movement, giving people a rallying cry. The paper industry has been a leader in sustainability since before sustainability was a buzzword, and we are creating a platform to continue telling this unrivaled story. In order to stand out from all the bandwagon brands and greenwashing you see everywhere, we knew we needed to be bold, vibrant, and vivid. So we created a world that would appeal to both the young and the young at heart. A world awash in color and optimism where we can show everyone that their choices matter. Because every decision does matter. Choose paper and packaging and be a force for nature.
So without further ado, I will share new video, print, and digital ads supported by a new microsite that all convey that when consumers choose paper, they are a force for nature.
A box can be essential, then recycled for a move, and then help brighten breakfast, or bring fresh scents in a tube. What starts as a box for detergent can become one with a helpful seam. All part of the circle of caring for our natural resources and trees. Recycling your boxes and paper products helps nature thrive. Be a force for nature and choose sustainable, recyclable paper and packaging.
The next video is a 15-second cut down of the 30-second you just saw.
Most boxes can be recycled up to 7 times. It's not a miracle, it's by design. So what starts as a box for detergent and turns into one for a sneeze is all part of the circle of caring for our natural resources and trees. Choose recyclable paper and packaging.
And this next 15-second video really spotlights the growth of the e-commerce market and how it's been growing consistently since the mid-2000s and more explosively in the last year and a half. This video concept acknowledges both the increased reliance on e-commerce and also showcases all of the items that can be recycled.
Paper and cardboard are the most recycled material, from delivery boxes to ones that hold cereal. So when you order online, you're doing your part to keep forest habitats thriving, showing nature some heart. Be a force for nature and choose recyclable paper packaging.
I often get the question about why 15s. More and more of our video is being seen via digital ads or video, and consumers often have shorter attention spans, whether online or on their phone. So we want to get a concise message in front of them in those various media. How do we introduce a common sense conversation about the circle of care our companies and industry engage? This new print advertising sheds a light on the link between healthy demand for forest products that encourages forest owners to plant trees. Our interactive microsite explains the circular nature and benefits of choosing paper-based options. And together they work to tell an unknown but holistic story about forest management. I'm going to give you a short glimpse here. You can see it of a scroll of our new microsite, which is very animated and makes you feel as though you're part of the forest as you're going through the content. This immersive experience, we hope, will allow people to consume a lot of information in a short amount of time by simply scrolling down on both their phone or on their computer. And again, we'll be surrounded by all kinds of animated content regarding the forest and the forest habitats. Public relations will play a prominent role in telling our recycling story, with results of a recycling survey shared by experts in behavior change to reinforce and shore up recycling behavior. So we're looking at evergreen questions that we can use any time of year, like what products do consumers find easiest to recycle? We'll ask them questions about their lifestyle, including who should be teaching children how to recycle? Where are children getting that information? We're also going to look at gender differences in recycling. Do men recycle differently than women? And what are those differences in approach? And by location, what regions know the most or the least about recycling? So it's our goal to combine the answer to those survey questions with experts who are really expert on creating and changing habits, and the goal being to introduce or improve paper recycling behaviors. So these are a number of folks that are under consideration, with the most prominent here being James Clear, the best-selling New York Times bestselling author of Atomic Habits. All of these folks are very interested in how to change behavior and make better choices. And these are a few of the folks that, again, are under consideration, and then will be armed with this new research in their conversations with the media. If we do our job well, this combination of new data about recycling and this recognized and respected expert on forming good habits will hopefully generate headlines like these in these types of publications. So 3 easiest ways to be a better recycler, according to a habits expert. Or a new survey shows people who recycle are happier and more confident. And some of the types of media that we'll be targeting with these messages include Huffington Post, Good Housekeeping, Forbes, and et cetera. Our Faces of the Forest series will continue, this time with an expanded focus on the economic story of the mill and the value of forests. We will be visiting a 125-year-old mill operated in Bedford County, Virginia, called Big Island, which is run by Georgia Pacific. Generations of families have worked in this mill. Bedford County is also an interesting area to visit because it's home to the National D-Day Memorial, and local men, including the 5 Bedford boys, participated in the Normandy invasion, and there is a connection back to the mills. Another family lost sons in Normandy invasion. Again, we're looking at the connection of these young men to the paper mill to bring a little bit of depth and dimension to these different stories about our forests and now the mills. So we've done a lot of testing, not only to develop the right strategy, but to make sure that the creative is powerful and our key messages are getting across. It was really our goal to do a number of things. It was to share data like the 7 times paper packaging can be recycled. We were also had a goal to infer that our products are innovative and a great replacement for plastics. We also wanted people to understand better how recycling works and how useful it is. And so we're seeing through these comments and others in our testing that those messages are coming through loud and clear and leaving not only a positive message about recycling, but also how consumers can be a force for nature. And so our fully integrated campaign looks like this. This is all in the auspices of How Life Unfolds, but it's completely 100% dedicated to choose paper and be a force for nature. And the microsite is paperfornature.com. And so on the site, you'll find our Faces of the Forest content, and you can also go to our YouTube page to look at the videos. We'll be doing digital ads. We will be running ads in social media. We'll be working with podcasters, a new element to the campaign this year to tell our story. And of course, new print and the circle of caring that we want to express through our magazines. Our media spend, which is $11.3 million this year, is 55% dedicated to digital, direct, and programmatic. For those of you who aren't in the media business, it's just those are simply programs that we distribute through what's called connected TV, which is really streaming TV. And so we reach people through all types of television, just like we did before. But again, that content is now being delivered by more and more streaming services, serving up exactly what people want. And we will be online as well with display banners, video units, high impact mobile units on the phones, and contextual ads that run with content that reinforce each other. As I mentioned, we're going to be looking at podcasts, email newsletters, and publisher extensions. These are initiatives with magazines in particular where we tie in with either the magazine's digital or other online assets, particularly through advertorials. 23% of our budget is allocated to magazines, and here's a list of a number of magazines that we are running in now. And 18% of our budget goes towards social platforms. Finally, 4% of our budget is dedicated to search through Google largely and Bing. Our overall operating budget then this year is $20 million, with 60% of it going towards paid media, 28% going into creative, PR, and social, and 12% on administration, far below the USDA guideline. As I mentioned at the top, we're going to be evolving our success metrics. We will be looking at new questions in our tracking research to understand whether or not consumers view our industry as part of the environmental solution as a result of seeing this campaign. And do we see an increase in positive attitudes around industry sustainability practices and attributes? Questions like, do people believe that forests are getting smaller? And we want to see a decline in those numbers. And we want to see an increase in the belief that forests are becoming healthier. We're also looking for a reduction in guilt about choosing paper and an increase in preference. We also are looking at responses through a website survey that's served up when consumers look at our content. And we ask those consumers to rate on a scale of 1 to 5 whether they feel they're making a positive contribution to the environment when they choose paper-based products. We also ask them on a scale of 1 to 5 whether the makers of paper and paper-based products are contributing positively to the overall health of U.S. forests. And in both situations, we ask them, why did they respond this way? So consumers will see these questions after they see stories. For example, the beverage article I mentioned at the top. And does this influence how they're feeling about our industry and about our products and about the health of forests? And last, I wanted to emphasize the synergy between all the work that we're doing and a number of valued partners and organizations that we have been actively collaborating with, whether it's Forest Proud, the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, Paperboard Packaging Council and Fiberbox Association, as well as the Forest Service and the North American Forest Foundation, as well as Two Sides and AFMPA. We are all together helping a sustainable planet unfold. And our goal is to make sure our messaging coming into the mix is value add to all the work, all the great work that's been going on in this space for many years. And so at this point, I want to conclude with a thank you again to everybody and all the, especially for all the good subject matter guidance you've given us and all the input on how to effectively get our message in the marketplace in a way that consumers can relate to, hopefully have a little bit of fun with, and increase the positive perceptions of our industry, as well as the value of our products and preference for those products. So with that, I'm happy to take any comments that folks have or questions. And while folks are thinking about any questions they have and putting that in the chat feature, I'll just bring up 2 questions that have come up consistently on every call. First question is, what is going to happen with Casey and Paige, our ambassadors, with all of this new emphasis in recycling and product innovation? And as I mentioned in the presentation, but I want to put a finer point on, this campaign is still part of a larger How Life Unfolds campaign, though it is really very much dedicated almost 100% to, again, sustainability around understanding the health of forests, our company's contributions to that, as well as product innovation, recycling, and other sustainable features of paper-based products. So we do envision continued participation by our ambassadors where it makes sense, but we wanted to expand the reach of the campaign with this very creative and very youthful approach to the communications. So you'll see a lot of different messages from us under the How Life Unfolds banner. But again, this is going to be almost 100% exclusively focused on the sustainability, attributes of our industry and our products. The other question that I got was, again, this dual focus of the campaign, really forest and zero waste in recycling and product innovation. And how do we emphasize which messages? And when we set out, we thought we should put maybe more weight towards that forest story because that's a little less well understood. However, as we got into the work and through the magic of advertising, we have found it a very, we've been able to, I think, effectively integrate both of those messages so that it's not an either or, but consumers are walking away with multiple messages, as I mentioned before. They see plastic substitution, they see healthy forests when they look at that transformation ad, and they see data that's really impressive, but also resonates with them at an emotional level. So we're really excited about the potential of the campaign, and we'll be able to start tracking the impact as well as what consumers are saying about the advertising through the website survey over the months ahead. So I'm wondering if folks have any other questions that they'd like to ask this morning. And if folks would prefer to just ask a question to us directly, please feel free to either reach me, M.A. Hanson at paperandpackaging.org, or you can send it to info@paperandpackaging.org, and we'd be happy to get a message back to you as soon as we get your question.
Marianne, this is Mike Fitterman. I've got a couple of quick questions as far as influencers. I see the work you're doing with media, et cetera. I think a big influencer on how our industry is perceived is also generated at the educator level. And I'm curious as to what are the programs we're working on all the way down to elementary schools to eliminate the myths that we are the tree choppers of the world, that we are devastating our forest for fishing and hunting and camping, et cetera, and telling the true facts of how many trees we actually plant versus cut down for this. There seems to be a major emphasis on recycling. I think younger generation is definitely engaged in the world of recycling. But even that, to talk about what we're doing so that we educate kids as young as we can, they will be influencers to their family. If their family's not recycling, they'll come home back to the old paper sales in the olden days where we would recycle newspapers. But I didn't see any emphasis to what we're doing to influence educators, both at the pre-K or K to 12 ages and even into the college years, that really are influencing the minds of our next generation as to how various industry is perceived. And I'm just curious what our efforts and dollars that are being spent there.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for your question, and it's nice to hear from you. So a couple of different things that we looked at as we started to build out some of this content. And by the way, this isn't going to be this isn't a limited list of content. It's just, again, our early foray, if you will, into what's a long-term program over the next couple of years. So we're going to be doing more in the area of paper recycling, for example. And we're going to be looking at other stories around circularity, for example, that we want to start to tell through print and other venues. Specific to children, we have definitely put more emphasis on the younger side of the target audience. So that's 18 to 24 is really the media break, but it really is 18 to 35. And so we are reaching kids in those later years in high school, as well as in college. As they're becoming young adults and they're ready to make their own decisions separate and apart from their parents. As for the younger side of that, the children under the age of 18 and looking at, 3 to 17, we did a lot of research and talked to a number of groups, and we especially spent time with the National Park Service as well as Project Learning Tree. And both of those programs have so much content in depth that they are promoting to reach children that we're actually promoting them and their work rather than creating new materials on our own. One of the things that really guides us here at the Paper and Packaging Board is to really complement what's going on in the marketplace, and where possible, not to duplicate. And what we found out from all the research we did on many, many types of messages is consumers do have a strong, emotional connection with recycling. And so that's why we're starting in that space. And it's an area that people really believe our industry is a leader, but we're going to expand into other messages, as I said. But specific to this, we really want to emphasize the work that's being done both at the National Forest through our social media programs, as well as Project Learning Tree, which is now part of Sorry, I just had a little internet glitch. Other questions? Okay, well, folks,
One more follow-on question to that. I'm just curious.
Sure.
With our current charter and the fact that we are actually part of the agricultural department of the government, are we permitted to use, we're trying to make sure that our public relations, that our industry is a great industry that believes in recycling and sustainability and whatever. Are we permitted in this current world for war, the war on talent, to bring people into our organizations? Are we permitted as part of this, especially with this age group that is at college age, et cetera, is consider a career in the paper and packaging industry, an industry that really cares about the world, the future generation, your environment, et cetera, to encourage the people that we're trying to influence to be part of our industry. Can we advertise ourselves as a place to work, or is that not permitted?
That is, I don't know is the answer. It's not a charge that the board has given to us. And I don't see any issue, though, from a message standpoint, with doing that. It just really hasn't been a direct focus of the campaign. However, again, given the more youthful kind of both expression of our story here, as well as more targeting those younger 18 to 34-year-olds, if they're seeing that content, we believe they're going to have a good feeling about the industry. And you'll see in a lot of our microsite content, Mike, we really spend quite a bit of time talking about the tech side of the business, if you will, all of the engineering and all of the satellite technologies and artificial intelligence that's increasingly being used to manage the health of forests. And so we've got a number of short videos featuring a geospatial analyst, for example. And so we are trying to capture the progress forward, the way we do things as an industry. We don't go so far as to say, hey, think about a career here, but there is absolutely no limitation on our companies and their HR teams to use this information as part of their recruiting. And we know a few companies that actually do that, right? Where they're showing, candidates the videos and talking about wide-ranging, jobs that are available. So that message is out there, I think, indirectly in terms of the good image that we're creating. And again, the more youthful focus of the campaign, but there is nothing stopping any HR department, including yours, and utilizing these materials to, again, show younger consumers what a great place the industry is to work. And when the new website goes live, which will be, I think, in just about a day or two, we have been doing a lot of testing this weekend and are cleaning up a few bugs. You'll see some content on there that really, again, goes beyond this idea of just forest owners and farmers, if you will, for jobs, in computers and engineering, and how all that complements, the work that we're doing in the forest. Any other questions? Thanks for asking those, Mike. They're both good questions. All right, well, with that, thanks for joining today. And again, shoot us an email if there's something you'd like to ask us about one-on-one, and we will get back to you right away. Thanks, everyone, and have a good day.